I swear to God, if you touch my door again, I will destroy you." The words ripped out of me, rage and fear a pulsing torrent in my veins. Victoria Sterling's entitled smirk vanished, replaced by shock, then fury. The cluster of wealthy strangers she'd brought onto my porch, the ones I'd just found trying the lock on my front door without permission, stepped back, startled by my explosion. Victoria, the self-appointed queen and HOA president of Heron Lake, jabbed a perfectly manicured finger towards my chest, her face contorting. "You have no idea who you're dealing with," she hissed through clenched teeth. "By the time I'm done with you, you'll be begging me to take this worthless cabin off your hands." That was the moment. The instant I knew this wasn't just about a lakeside property dispute anymore. This was war. And little did Victoria Sterling know, as her face tightened into a mask of controlled fury, my phone, clutched tightly in my hand, was recording everything. "Where are you watching from right now?" Drop HOA president meltdown when I refused to unlock my lake cabin for her entitled friends. It began innocently enough, 6 months ago, when I inherited my grandfather George Miller's lakeside cabin at Heron Lake, Michigan. The place was steeped in childhood memories, fishing with Grandpa at dawn, smoky summer bonfires with cousins, watching fireflies dance over the glassy water from the worn wooden dock as the sun bled orange across the sky. When his will named me, David Miller, the new owner, I felt a mix of honor and overwhelm. As a software engineer working remotely, escaping the city seemed perfect. Reconnect with a simpler life. I had no idea I was stepping onto a neighborhood battlefield, an invisible boundary war running right through my own damn property. Grandpa George had built this cabin himself back in the early 60s. The two-story cedar structure commanded the most picturesque point on the lake, offering panoramic water views and a private dock stretching into deep, clear water. Inside, his handmade furniture still stood, silent testaments to craftsmanship. The massive stone fireplace dominated the living room, the scene of countless card games against howling Michigan winds. Even the fishing rods on the wall were the same ones I'd fumbled with as a kid. This wasn't just real estate. It was my tangible link to the man who taught me everything from tying fishing knots to standing up for what's right. My first weeks were deceptively peaceful. I met friendly neighbors like Nathan Cole, a former real estate attorney turned novelist 3 cabins down, and Sarah Jenkins, who waved cheerfully from her kayak during morning paddles. But I also caught strange glances at the local market, especially when Victoria Sterling was present. Victoria, I quickly learned, had ruled the Heron Lake Homeowners Association for 8 long years, wielding her power with the unshakable belief that she owned not just her sprawling lakefront mansion, but everyone else's lives too. Whispers followed me into the Pineview market. "That's the Miller boy," they'd murmur, like I was still 10. Older residents smiled, sharing grandpa stories. But the newer crowd, the ones with McMansions and wake boats, eyed me with calculating curiosity, assessing my impact on their precious property values. Victoria's influence was palpable. Conversations hushed when she entered. Clerks suddenly remembered reserved items for her. She didn't just run the HOA, she ran the town through a web of favors, veiled threats, and social maneuvering. Her first visit to my cabin dripped with saccharine sweetness. A basket of local preserves, a welcoming smile that never quite reached her cold eyes. "This cabin has always been one of the jewels of Heron Lake," she cooed, running a hand along the porch railing. "Your grandfather kept it wonderfully. So glad it's staying in the family, not sold to outsiders." She lingered, probing about my work, making pointed comments about community contributions. Typical neighborly chat, I thought naively. A week later, the mask slipped. "David," she said, settling into a porch chair uninvited, "I wanted to discuss a wonderful tradition." She explained how the exclusive Summit Lake Association occasionally used lakefront cabins for special gatherings. "Your grandfather always graciously shared this beautiful space," she lied smoothly. "I'm sure you'll want to continue his generous tradition." Caught off guard, I politely declined, citing privacy. The smile froze on her face, her eyes hardening. "I understand completely," she said, her tone dripping with insincerity. "Still settling in. We'll revisit this." As she walked away, her eyes swept my property dock, lake frontage, path like a general assessing terrain. Less neighborly, more predatory. That evening, I mentioned it to Arthur Finch, the 85-year-old across the lane. He shook his head vehemently. "Your grandpa never let them use this place." "Not once," he stated firmly. "That woman's been trying to get her hands on this point since before her husband passed. Don't believe a word." Unsettled, I wondered why she'd lie so blatantly. What was her obsession with Grandpa's cabin? 3 days later, Nathan called, voice tense. David, get back here. Victoria's showing your place to some people. I broke speed limits, arriving to find Victoria leading well-dressed couples around my property, gesturing towards my dock while some guy in an expensive suit nodded. I caught her trying keys on my back door. What are you doing? I demanded. She recovered instantly, beaming. David. Perfect timing. Just the annual fire safety inspection, she improvised. A poor lie, considering I'd overheard her saying, and the master bedroom has a stunning lake view. Heart pounding, I kept my voice level. I'd appreciate it if you'd all leave my property. Now. She feigned offense. Daniel, this is standard HOA procedure. I wasn't notified, and you were trying my door. Leave, or I call the police. The guest shuffled away awkwardly. Victoria lingered, smile gone. You're making a mistake, David. The community has expectations. I shut the door firmly behind me. That evening, an official-looking emergency HOA meeting, attendance mandatory notice in my mailbox. Nathan intercepted me. Got one too. Be careful tomorrow. Victoria retaliates. Forced out 2 families I know who defied her. Controls the board through fear. Watch your back. Inside, sorting Grandpa's papers, I found a letter. If they come knocking, remember this cabin is for no one but you. Keep the files safe. In his desk drawer, a folder. Yellowed papers, a property map. Grandpa's shaky script. Cabin not part of HOA. Original boundary map attached. The community center buzzed with tension. Conversations died as I entered. Victoria commanded the front. I sat near the back, nodding at Sarah Jenkins, who offered a sympathetic look. The center itself mirrored the community's shift. Rustic beams now held crystal chandeliers. Marble replaced wood floors. Elite Summit Club photos replaced fishing contest flyers. Grandpa's photo, helping build the original structure, was relegated to a dark corner. Victoria called the meeting, charm masking urgency. Recent boundary clarifications, she announced, unveiling a large map. Someone had clearly altered lines with marker. My cabin was now inside HOA territory. As per our updated survey, she declared, pointing at my property, all lakefront properties, including the Miller cabin, are subject to community guidelines. She proposed a new rule, mandatory 4-week cabin use per year for the Summit Club, framing it as a privilege Grandpa willingly participated in. A blatant lie. People shifted uncomfortably, but silence reigned. Victoria name-dropped supporters, made eye contact with potential objectors, hammered property values. Timid members sat up front, a buffer of nodding heads. It was orchestrated theater. I stood, documents in hand. According to these original documents, I stated firmly, presenting the map, my cabin predates the HOA and was never legally incorporated. Victoria flushed. That's outdated. We updated boundaries with the previous owner. Another lie. Grandpa was the previous owner. Sarah Jenkins rose. May we see the original HOA records proving this agreement? Victoria waved dismissively. No time for history lessons. Vote now. The vote was called. Eyes averted. Hands raised mechanically. An older woman almost opposed, then flinched under Victoria's glare. Coercion, not democracy. The vote passed, 26-4. As people filed out, I announced loudly, I will not comply. My property is not legally part of the HOA. Victoria fixed me with an icy stare. In the parking lot, neighbors avoided my gaze. Sarah whispered, don't back down. Arthur Finch shuffled over. Never part of the HOA, son. Trying to pull a fast one. Did it to the Johnsons, the Blackwells. They gave up, sold. His hand gripped my arm. George knew this day might come. Real boundaries are at the county office. Don't let her intimidate you. His daughter hurried him away, casting a worried glance at Victoria's group. Driving home, anger mixed with self-doubt. Then I saw it, a large HOA violation, subject to fines sign hammered into my lawn. My lawn. Fury surged. I yanked it out. Inside, a text from an unknown number. Your cabin is an HOA. Meet Pinewood Cafe, 10 a.m. tomorrow. Trap? Or help? I didn't know who to trust. Sleep came fitfully, the lake's gentle lapping now sounding like a warning. The Pinewood Cafe was half empty. Sarah Jenkins sat in a corner booth, tapping nervously on a folder. Wasn't sure you'd come, she admitted. Victoria has eyes everywhere. A former board member, she'd witnessed Victoria's abuse of power. Manipulating boundaries for years, she said, showing altered maps. Each version conveniently swallowed valuable, previously independent properties. Two homeowners pressured into selling via fake violations and fines. The cafe reflected Heron Lake's divide, original counter for locals, renovated section with $20 avocado toast for the new elite. Nathan Cole joined us. Figured this meeting might be happening. His legal eye confirmed my grandpa's documents. Should hold up in court, he said. But Victoria has Judge Harrison in her pocket. She's not playing by legal rules. Victoria's late husband, a politician, left her connections. Your grandfather was meticulous, Nathan noted, pointing to notary stamps. He knew what he was doing. These records show he formally declined HOA inclusion in '72. Filed an exclusion notice with the county. Victoria can't override that with a marker, no matter her influence. Then Sarah dropped the bombshell. Victoria's planning an extravagant Summit Club party next weekend. Bragging they'll use the charming new cabin on the point. She's already promised your place. The Summit Club wasn't just social, it was wealthy investors eyeing Heron Lake for resort development. My cabin, prime location, was the showcase. The waitress whispered, "Wrap it up." Mrs. Sterling's friend Eleanor just walked in. A well-dressed woman by the window pretended to read, "You're straining." We paid and arranged to meet at Nathan's, away from Victoria's spies. Later, an official-looking cabin temporary seizure notice, community violations, arrived. Fake HOA stamp. No legal signature. Psychological tactic, Nathan confirmed. It's fear. If you're afraid, they win. Next, a formal letter from Sterling and Associates, Victoria's cousin's firm, threatening suit for obstructing community access rights. Alleged violations: unauthorized dock renovation, untouched, improper tree removal, one dead branch trimmed, non-conforming paint, same stain for 30 years. Total penalties $2,500. Offer: waive fees if I agree to the cabin sharing program. Surrender or face financial harassment. My security camera caught Victoria on my property edge, phone to her ear. Don't worry. We'll have the cabin this weekend. Miller won't be a problem anymore. I called the police. Officer response: sounds like a civil HOA dispute. Work it out. Chief Roberts, I learned, was Victoria's longtime friend. Isolated, tossing pebbles into the dark lake from my dock, Grandpa's voice echoed, "Stand your ground, Davy. Some things are worth fighting for." Selling seemed tempting. Then my phone rang. Aunt Carol, Grandpa's sister. "David, county office tomorrow. Found info on the lake drainage system control rights. Changes everything." Another ping. Unknown number. "Know my mother-in-law is wrong. Want to help? Can't publicly. Emily Sterling." Victoria's daughter-in-law? Another trap? My security camera had just captured Victoria saying, "Found a way to force him to surrender ownership." The county records office was dusty chaos, but Aunt Carol navigated it expertly. Worked here summers. Grandpa made me promise to remember. Documents spread out. Grandpa bought the cabin in '62, long before the HOA. Developers wanted the lakefront. He refused. Tina Matthews, the elderly clerk who knew Grandpa, brought more files. Robert Harper was a good man. Fought those developers. She explained how the lake was larger before drainage/landfill. Your grandpa rallied the Environmental Commission. That's why the western shore remains natural. The discovery floored us. Not only was my cabin outside HOA bounds, but it controlled the main lake drainage system. A historic county agreement gave the owner environmental rights. Grandpa, a civil engineer, used this easement to protect the lake's ecosystem. A 1978 Governor's Environmental Commission letter cemented these rights, requiring owner consent for any alterations affecting lake water quality or levels. Armed with certified copies, I emailed the HOA board. Victoria's swift response: a court summons from her cousin's firm, forcing a costly boundary dispute. Jessica forwarded internal emails. Victoria spreading rumors my cabin endangered the lake, needing HOA control, the exact opposite of the truth. Grandpa was the lake's protector. They don't just want your cabin, Aunt Carol said gravely. They want to develop the entire backshore. Your property is the key obstacle. It clicked. The parties, the pressure, it was about showcasing the location to investors for a resort that would destroy Heron Lake. An unexpected encounter. Bradley Sterling, Victoria's son, approached me nervously in the market parking lot. Sorry about my mother. Don't agree, but I'm stuck. He revealed Victoria's secret partnership with Waterfront Holdings Group to build the resort. Plans will change the ecosystem, he warned. Before more, the manager asked me to leave, closing early. Bradley slipped me a card, note scribbled. Mother doesn't know developers' own studies warn of watershed/habitat damage. She's ignoring them. Crucial info. Stress mounted. Checking cameras obsessively, losing sleep. Found an old photo, Grandpa defiant on the dock, facing men with plans. That inscription, some things are worth fighting for. Lake belongs to everyone. Resolve hardened. This wasn't just mine, it was Grandpa's legacy, the lake's future. Met with Nathan and Sarah. Counterattack plan, feigned defeat publicly. Let Victoria get overconfident while we gather evidence of the larger conspiracy. I posted a video, exhausted, beaten. Can't fight the HOA. Too powerful. Have to leave. Bait taken. Victoria called, tone suddenly conciliatory. Perhaps we can work something out? Meet at your cabin this weekend. Jessica discovered the Summit Club gathering was bringing real estate investors. As night fell before the party, I meticulously placed hidden cameras and recorders. Let them think they've won, Nathan advised. People reveal their true intentions when they believe no one is watching. Saturday dawned perfect. Expensive cars lined my drive by 10 a.m. I greeted them with feigned resignation. Victoria glowed, directing caterers. Presentation screen here. Refreshments on the deck. A business pitch disguised as a party. A sign at the entrance, temporarily sealed, safety inspection, supposedly signed by Chief Roberts. He arrived, shrugged off my questions about the signature's authenticity. Standard procedure. Victoria shot me a warning look. We'll need you to vacate for 24 hours, David. HOA inspection regulations. I made a show of calling the police station, told the dispatcher Chief Roberts was handling it. A civil matter. Real anger surfaced. This is private property. An illegal takeover. I slammed my hand down. Anderson looked uncomfortable but wouldn't cross Victoria. Her satisfied smirk confirmed she thought I was broken. Following the plan, I made a dramatic exit, grabbing an overnight bag. You won't get away with this, I muttered to Victoria. Driving off, I saw her triumphant smile. She didn't know Sarah was down the road documenting arrivals, or Nathan was meeting the county prosecutor. My defeat was the setup. From Nathan's, we monitored the live feed. Victoria, conducting a formal investment meeting. Once we secure this property, she told investors, pointing at renderings, complete control of lake access. The Miller cabin is the final piece. Waterfront Holdings CEO presented plans for Evergreen Shores Resort, drained lake sections, concrete shorelines, condos replacing cabins. The damning admission. Technically, Victoria confided, this property is an HOA. But the owner doesn't know about the drainage rights. Once we have access, we'll discover maintenance issues requiring HOA intervention. An investor asked about environmental concerns. Victoria laughed. The impact study will say what we want. Friends in the county office. Suddenly, Bradley and Emily Sterling appeared on the feed, slipping into the back, exchanging horrified glances as Victoria detailed her theft and destruction plans. While they watched, I filed an emergency court order with Judge Albright, the one judge outside Victoria's influence, to protect my property in the environmental easement. Aunt Carol provided testimony. Late afternoon, emergency property protection order and temporary injunction against development affecting the drainage system secured. Armed with documents, court officer, county environmental attorney, I headed back. They think I've given up, I told Nathan. They have no idea. Cocktails on my deck, laughter carrying over the water. Inside, Victoria presented projections. 0.300% return within 5 years. Daniel Miller, just like his grandfather, sentimental, blind to development potential. Silence fell as I walked in with my entourage. Victoria's smile snapped on. David, thought you'd left. Just discussing community improvements. Investors shifted nervously. I handed Victoria the court documents. The officer explained, emergency protection order. Injunction against development. Vacate immediately, except for the owner, David Miller. Panic flared in Victoria's eyes. Mistake. Property subject to HOA. The environmental attorney cut in. MS. Sterling, this property was never HOA. Furthermore, it controls critical drainage infrastructure protected by county regulations since '73. Any impacting development requires extensive review and owner's permission. Victoria became erratic. These people don't understand our vision. Backward locals preventing progress. The mask shattered. Your fake violations, altered maps, seizure attempts are documented, I stated quietly. And so is this meeting, including manipulating environmental studies. Investors edged towards the door. Chief Roberts, deeply uncomfortable, admitted his signature was forged. Told it was an approved event, he mumbled. Final blow, Victoria spotted Bradley and Emily. Tell them it's a misunderstanding. Emily stepped forward, voice steady. Mom, I can't. You've known this cabin isn't HOA. You falsified documents, threatened people. Victoria reached for Bradley, honey, for our family's future. Then turned back to me, face hardening. He's ruined me. Tricked you. Bradley stood by his wife. No, Mom. We've seen the evidence. Afraid to stand up. Sorry, David. Suddenly, the projection screen switched from numbers to recorded audio from earlier. Pathetic caretaker. Doesn't understand its real value. Elite club members heard their own private conversations about local riffraff played back. Jessica's remote contribution. Swift, awkward exodus. Investors mumbled excuses. Chief Roberts promised investigation, planning his own escape. Victoria stood stunned as her empire crumbled. This isn't over, she hissed as the officer escorted her out. Other ways to deal with people like you. No need to respond. As the last luxury car left, neighbors approached. Arthur Finch extended his hand. Grandpa would be proud. Fought the same battle. Others admitted fear had silenced them. An impromptu barbecue revived Grandpa's tradition. Left behind in Victoria's haste, a folder. The complete development plan. Shocking details. Altered water levels, habitat destruction, systematic pressure on homeowners using HOA rules. My cabin wasn't the target. It was the starting point. Next day, copies delivered to every homeowner. Emergency community meeting organized by Sarah. Packed room. This isn't just my cabin, I explained, showing the plans. It's the future of Heron Lake. Unity formed. Seasonal residents and year-round families stood together. Immediate vote proposed. Remove Victoria. She arrived, expecting control, found a united front. Development increases property values, she argued desperately. Homeowners shared stories of intimidation. Before Victoria could spin a health reasons resignation, Jessica presented findings, via Emily, of Victoria's similar tactics in Florida. Olivia revealed she'd sent evidence to regional media. What's happening is wrong, Olivia stated. Vote to remove Victoria, near unanimous. Sarah elected new HOA president. Association officially acknowledged my cabin's status. Chief Roberts apologized publicly. Elite club abandoned plans, properties back on market. Learn more about Grandpa's legacy. Use drainage rights responsibly. Lake belongs to generations, Arthur said. Honored legacy with community gatherings, focusing on preservation. Established Pine Lake Preservation Committee. Bradley and Olivia joined, forging their own path. Hung Grandpa's photo, Harper Cabin, where justice prevailed. More than home, a symbol. Margaret sold, moved away, reputation ruined. HOA restructured. Chief Roberts faced ethics investigation. Cousins' law firm scrutinized. Justice washed over Heron Lake. For the first time, I felt truly home. A year later, a postcard, unmarked address. Won the battle, war isn't over. V. I smiled, pinned it to the fridge. Time for the barbecue anyway. That evening, neighbors on my deck, laughing. Security cam caught a figure lurking. Victoria, watching, expression unreadable, retreating as the community she controlled thrived without her. Sometimes justice isn't just winning, it's building something better. Grandpa's legacy wasn't just property. It was courage, community, persistence. Fireflies danced. Deep peace settled. Standing up is hard, but worth every moment. These kinds of stories, turning everyday madness into gripping sagas, are why people tune in. Don't miss the next chapter. Subscribe and hit notifications.